Good day to us all. We are all welcome to this special program trying to look at the next 4 years of this current administration and the opportunities and challenges that may lie ahead. The whole objective of this is to ensure that as God's people, we are well prepared to take advantage of the opportunities and to see whatever may lie ahead of us that we need to uh, address to ensure that these 4 years of this new administration works out together for our good as we trust God to help us to get the best out of this new administration. The season of Emilokon, we are all quite used to this phrase, which became popularized by the current president when he was going to go for the nomination of his party before the 2023 presidential elections. We have titled this "What You See is What You Get" because exactly that is what this is all about. I would like us to look at the challenges and the opportunities that lies ahead of us. Some of these we have seen in the current policies and programs of the current administration. Before the inauguration of this administration, we had the opportunity of writing what you call a policy advisory, a roadmap of policies and programs that we projected may be the trust of this current administration. And we published that as an organization 3 days before the inauguration of the administration. We actually published this. For people who want copies of this, you could get across to us and we could send that to you. For people that are on the LinkedIn, it was posted on the LinkedIn page, on my LinkedIn page, and you can actually uh, take the advantage of reading through this document. It's some details as to the policy areas around 27 different areas of government priorities that we project will become the key thrust of the new administration. But today we are going to be looking at the challenges and the opportunities that lies ahead and how we can best take advantage of the opportunities, and for the challenges and the threats, how we can mitigate them and address them to ensure that all things truly work together for good. My key talking points would focus on uh, helping us to set the tone for how we approach the rest, of the days ahead. How do we see the days ahead? And that would help us to also have the appropriate lens of approaching all that lies ahead of us, all that we have seen, all that we may see. It's important that we have the right lenses on so that we can see what God is saying and not just see challenges, because for every challenge that exists, there also lies opportunities that we can take advantage of. So we're also going to be looking at the opportunities ahead and the key challenges ahead, and what actions can we take to ensure that we are not in the next 4 years victims of these administrations, programs and policies, but that we become beneficiaries of the awesome opportunities that God will have ahead of us. I'll start by talking about the need for us to have the right mind, the right mentality. In the Bible, we read about the scriptures encouraging us to have the mind of Christ. I believe the mind of Christ speaks to how Christ would look at things, what Christ will be thinking when he goes through whatever we're going through, or he sees the kind of things we see in our days. And I would quickly like us to go to Numbers chapter 13, verse 33. The whole book of Numbers chapter 13 speaks to the story of the children of Israel and how Moses was instructed by God to send 12 spies to go look at the land of Canaan. We've heard and we've read from the history books that this particular story and event was the foundations for the establishment of the Mossad, one of the most successful intelligence agency in the world. The Mossad actually was believed to have started from these 12 set of spies. Moses picked a leader of each of the 12 families and sent them out to spy the land, give them clear instructions on the kind of intelligence they were meant to gather, and they were meant to bring this back onto the children of Israel. We know this story very well, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But what is quite interesting about the outcome of their intelligence gathering was the fact that 12 people actually went into Canaan and were presented with the same data. They saw the same things. They had the same statistics from what they gathered. In fact, they brought the fruits of the land. But when they came back, 10 had a different interpretation of the data that they saw. 10 had a different conclusion they reached about what the land was all about and the people they saw. 2 of these spies also had a different opinion as to what exactly the data and the statistics and the experiences they had was going to translate to. We know these 2 that had a different story. They were Joshua and Caleb. And because of their story, God said they were the only 2 people and their families that will, people of their own age mate in their families that will enter the promised land. For the 10 who brought a different report, which we are going to see in verse 33, the conclusion of that report, of that investigations, of the experiences they had in the land of Canaan, made God so angry. The report was called an evil report. In verse 33, reading from ISV version, it said, we also saw the Nephilim. This was the account of these 10 people, the descendants of Enoch. Compared to the Nephilim, as we see things, I've underlined this. The emphasis was that this was their opinion of themselves as they see things. And that opinion concluded that they were grasshoppers. And they concluded finally that that opinion they had of themselves as grasshoppers became the opinion of the people who lived in Canaan. It's shocking that they describe themselves as grasshoppers. Yes, they may have seen giants. I'm sure Caleb and Joshua also saw giants, and they actually attested to the fact that there were giants in the land. In fact, the first set of report that they brought from their findings was that the land was a land that was flowing with milk and honey. These 10 added to this by saying the land swallowed up the people that were living there. How long they spent in the land to see and come to that conclusion, we don't know. But the whole essence of pointing our attention to Numbers 13 verse 33 is to emphasize the fact that the way we see things matters in terms of the outcomes we are going to have in life. If we are going to put it this way, we don't even see things the way they are. We see things the way we are. This was the experience of these 10. They did not see the images in front of them in Canaan. They saw their own perception of those images, and they concluded after every of their feedback had been given, that they were not able to enter the land. And God actually agreed with them. How we see things matter. This also was the experience of Jeremiah, prophet Jeremiah, in Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 11 to 12. And the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Jeremiah, what do you see? And I said, I see an almond branch. Verse 12. Then the Lord said to me, you have seen well, for I'm watching over my word to perform it. So this was a very explicit one. God asking the prophet what he saw. And he said he saw an almond branch, and God confirmed that he had seen well. A lot of people are not seeing well in life. And what we see is what we are going to get. That is why it's very important for us to see well. That is why it's very important for us to hear well. Bible says to us, faith comes by hearing, hearing by the word of God. What we hear, what we see, what we feel, what we are fed with, our beliefs become eventually our realities. We must start to see beyond the Nephilims, the giants, and start to see the promise of God that the land had become our heritage. That was what the difference was between Joshua and Caleb and the other 10 spies. So it is important for us to start to see well. On the screen is a slide that speaks to our lenses in viewing the world around us. And we say here that our lens is our world view of opportunities. There is a glass cup that is being filled with wine to the half level of the glass cup. The cup is filled to the half level measure that it can contain. The capacity of the cup is probably 50%. But if people are asked, different people are asked, how do you describe this cup? Is the glass half empty or half full? So many people would come back with the answer that the cup is half empty, because that is true. It is half empty, it is not full. But that same cup that some people describe as half empty can be described as half full. What that is telling us is that both feedback, both answers, both results, if it's a question that was given in an exam, both answers are correct. Statistically, factually, what we have said, if we have said half empty or we have said half full, is correct. But it matters at the end of the day, despite the fact that we are factually correct describing this cup half empty, that it goes beyond our description of it that has met the factual requirement of what it is. It speaks to also our mentality, our paradigms, our outlook in life, the glasses we wear to see things. Why someone saw this half empty, someone else saw it half full. There is a massive likelihood that the people that saw it half empty may want to empty it. And that is the end of the content of the cup. And the people that saw it half full may want to fill it up. The opportunities that are available to people that have seen this glass cup in different ways are also going to be different based on what they saw. That is why it is important for us to start to see things slightly differently from the way we have always seen them. Some people are naturally, they have become programmed to become very negative. It could have been because of experiences in the past, or it could have been because of the belief systems that they have. It could have been because of the fact that is made available, or their level of information or ignorance, where what we hear, what we see, what we have experienced, and what we believe. It could be because of their values. a lot of people are where they are in life simply because of all these combined information systems that are fed and programmed into us. And we become exactly these things in the way we see life. When the 10 spies got to the land of Canaan, it was not what they saw that they concluded with. It was not what they saw that they interpreted as the findings. It was what they believed. It was what they perceived. It was what they sensed. It wasn't what was presented. So two people will be looking at the same thing and they will be seeing different things. Two people were given a piece of map and were asked to describe it. One looked at it and said, this is a piece of value for historical, geographical exploration. That was what someone saw it as. He says, a piece of artifact that could be kept to tell us history and geography. Someone else who was given the same map described it as a license for adventure. What some people see as challenges, some people see as solutions, or they see opportunities. Because truly, every challenge in life actually has got its hidden opportunities. Every challenge in life has got hidden opportunities. What is a liability to one is an asset to another. We flare gas in Nigeria. That gas is asset for powering, and producing energy for other nations. And that's what we have been trying to do, to stop the flaring of gases, to turn what has become a liability environmentally to us, causing us mayhem in terms of discomfort. If you go to some part of Nigeria where gases are flared, you find out that the temperatures are different from the temperatures you find in other places. They are warmer, they are hotter. There are issues with these gases and the harmful chemicals that are released when they are flared that affect the lives of people who live around those places. But in several other places, these gases are not flared. This liability that we have in the flaring of gases is an asset somewhere else. How we see things determines what we're able to do with them. That probably also explains why nations that are the richest nations on earth are not resource rich. The most the most advanced nations and the wealthiest of nations on earth are not resource rich. They don't have natural resources. And the poorest nations on earth, some of them and most of them, are very rich in resource. Niger just had a coup. Military junta overthrew the democratically elected government. It would shock many people to know that Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world. One of the most, when you talk about very, very deep level of poverty, pervasive poverty, that is what you find in Niger. A very, very unadvanced nation in terms of development, economically and in other ways in which you can measure development. But this is a nation that is rich in uranium. Uranium. Nigeria supplies Niger electricity, whereas that uranium is used to power electricity or energy plants across the globe in most advanced countries. So we can see that what we see with what we have is what we are going to get with it. And a lot of times, people who don't have what we have see more than those people who have even assets in their hands. I use another example before I move on. All cocoa seeds and plants come from West Africa, from Ivory Coast, from Ghana, from Nigeria. Nigeria used to be in the forefront of the production of cocoa and cocoa seeds until we got oil and we abandoned the farms and abandoned that great asset that we had. And then Cote d'Ivoire took over. Ghana also took over. and Nigeria probably comes third in Africa in terms of production. These are the things we need to recover back. These are the things we need to, ensure that we are able to uh, get back to where we were before independence and shortly after independence, before we found oil, when we had a president that actually made that statement that our problem was not money, but how to spend it. General Gowon said our problem is not money, but how to spend it. That was the beginning of the problem of Nigeria, because we abandoned every single thing that helped us to become a nation that was seen with a great prospect at independence. The nation of Singapore got independence in 1963. It was way well behind Nigeria in terms of development. But as we speak, Singapore is considered as a first world country, much more developed. The gross domestic product per capita, per person, is higher than that of Canada and the US. What does that mean? That nation, in terms of what you are going to get as an individual, what you get in terms of economic returns is better when you live in Singapore than even when you live in Canada that all Nigerians are rushing to, or you live in the US. And they were behind Nigeria in terms of development. What changed about them? For instance, the nation of Singapore does not have a single crude oil. They don't have it as a natural resource. But amongst the best oil refining nations in the world, Singapore is among the top 10 or 11 nations where petroleum is refined. So they decided we don't have the crude, but what we're going to do is become a leader in refining the crude. And so Nigeria that has crude goes to certain nations like Singapore and the rest of them. Some of them don't have crude. They just position themselves to be refiners of crude. So what has happened? They did not see themselves to be backward. They did not see it as a disadvantage that they don't have, crude oil. What they saw was that even if they did not have crude oil, they could become better at refining it. Nigeria that had crude oil is the nation that is still importing petroleum products. The reason why we're all shouting and crying, again, largely is because we have wasted our resources empowering other nations who may not even have our own crude, but who can refine the oil to create wealth, create employment, and we are losing out. We are buying it at such an expensive, at expensive cost, and we are devaluing our resources, devaluing our lives when we do not take advantage of what God has given unto us, because we don't see beyond the raw material. So what we see is what we get. Cocoa that I was talking about, we do not, the nations who are the leaders in production of chocolate, all the chocolates you find, Bantis, Mars, and the rest of them, they are produced from outside of Africa. Switzerland, Netherlands, the UK, these are nations that are well renowned for production of chocolate. But they don't have a single plant of cocoa. They do not have and do not plant cocoa seeds. Neither do they harvest them. All their raw materials comes from Africa. All the cocoa seeds are from West Africa. And yet, we don't have a single global organization or company in the Fortune top 100 or 500. The Fortune 100 or 500 are companies, are the biggest companies and the most successful companies in the world. Chocolate companies that are from Africa, despite the fact that the raw seeds are from us. So you also see that a lot of times, because we don't see beyond our noses, because we don't see beyond the small pictures of everything that we see, there is always a bigger picture with everything that is presented to us. The difference between these advanced nations and us is that they actually see beyond the small pictures. They see the big pictures of the value chain that you can create beyond the raw material. We are always excited about the raw material. So we take the diamonds in Sierra Leone, in the Congo, DR Congo, the oil in Nigeria. We are always excited. The palm oil, the rubber, we export the raw. And when they take the raw, they break it down, add value to it, because they see the value chain beyond the raw material. I've used all these examples to say to us it is high time we start to see the big picture of things around us and start taking advantage of the opportunities that may even lie in all of the challenges that we may see. So that we are well informed, we are well balanced in terms of our information, focus. We are not just excited about the opportunities. It will also be good for us to know what challenges lies ahead. The Bible says that the wise man sees danger coming and he hides, and the foolish goes on unto their own destruction, headlong into the danger. So we don't want to see those dangers and go ahead and not avoid them if we can. But it's also good to know what these opportunities are. So we are going to take a look at 5 big opportunity areas for Nigerians. There are many more across some different other areas. But I do not want to bore us today with too much of stories. I want us to focus on these 5 because I believe they will stimulate our interest, specifically in those areas we are talking about, and in so many other areas as things emerge and as we evolve into experiencing the policies and the programs of this administration. I like to say that whosoever you voted for before the elections, that is in the past. Whosoever you would have wanted to become a president or a governors or party that would have wanted to win the elections, please can we move on? This is post-election. The Bible makes us to realize in the book of Daniel that God is the one that gives the kingdom to whosoever he wills. I did not vote for any of the parties or the candidates that they fielded for the presidential positions. I did not, because I just did not. But the truth of the matter is whosoever had become the president of Nigeria and has been constitutionally and legally acknowledged as the winner of the elections will get my support. Whether I like them or not does not matter. The Bible tells us that we are meant to pray for them. We are meant to support them so that we may live a peaceable life. Our support as Christians is in form of our prayers for these people. But beyond that, we must have the right mindset to be able to enjoy whatever God has in stock in the next 4 years, because God is not, he is never taken by accident. There's no accident with our God. Wherever we are, God knows about it. He knows what has happened, and he will not allow anything to happen that he does not want to happen. So 5 big opportunity areas for Nigerians. Number 1, it is evident, and it is going to become more evident, that competence and professionalism and our skills will be in demand in the next 4 years. it will be richly compensated. It may not be directly with the Nigerian government and administration of President uh, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but because of the different positioning of this government, policy pronouncement and programs, and the need to move Nigeria forward, there is going to be a heavy need for people who have skills, who have the right competencies, and who are professionals to take Nigeria forward. Please don't be distracted by the ministerial list and nominees that have been presented before government. That is not enough evidence of this in terms of competence and professionalism and skills that we are talking about. Nominees for ministerial appointment and ministerial appointment are largely political decisions. Whether the right people that we think should be there are there, that's not where it matters. Yes, they are leaders of public service organizations that will also drive the programs and policies of government, but they are just 48 people. Nigeria has many agencies. Nigeria has different areas of needs that will require the competence and the professionalism and skills of Nigerians. So number one opportunity is that if you're a professional and you have skills and you have competencies that are in line with required areas of our development, this is the time for you to shine. I will speak more about this because I'm going to take 4 of these and then do a deeper dive on them very quickly. The second area of opportunity is energy policy reforms of the government. It's going to offer massive opportunities in renewable energy market. I'm going to talk to that very soon. The third one is in terms of the forest and the fiscal and monetary policy reforms of the government. What are we talking about? For instance, the elimination of the multiple exchange rate and in quotes, the floating of the naira, which in layman's language is how much and how we exchange our naira for foreign exchange currencies like the dollars and the pound sterling. That single decision has caused mayhem in Nigeria. It was a welcome one. It was a great one that was taken by the government. But like every decision, there is always a gestation period for those decisions to mature into the reasons why those decisions were taken. This also goes for the removal of oil subsidy. We will not debate on the pros and the cons of these decisions. They are great decisions that will move Nigeria forward because we have suffered and experience underdevelopment and static growth because of the wrong decisions of past government. They didn't want us to go through pains. They didn't want Nigerians not to vote for them. They didn't want Nigerians to be on the street. But the reality is, if we are going to move forward as a nation, some of these hard, difficult decisions have to be taken. It's not about IMF or World Bank. It's about the need to ensure that Nigeria can take decisions that would prosper and help Nigeria in the long term, not in the short term. This decision probably should have been taken, for instance, on oil subsidy removal during Jonathan's era in 2012. But it's even on record that when that was proposed, the current president and the APC government opposed it. Unfortunately so, but they realized their mistakes. So I hear people say, no, they should still stick to their opposition of 2012. If you have made mistakes, you got to move forward. It's unfortunate because if we had taken those decisions in 2012, the pains we are going through, we would have gone through in 2012 and we would have overcome them. We would have passed this very stage. Most likely our refineries will be working to ensure that the cost of these products are not as high as we have them. And I need to warn Nigerians who think once the refineries are up and running, the fuel prices would drop. They will not drop because these refineries are now private limited liability companies. Before now, NNPC was a government agency. It has stopped to be a government agency immediately the Petroleum Industry Act was signed. NNPC Limited is what NNPC is currently. It never made profit in those years. Subventions were granted to it by the government. What are subventions? Their salaries, their cost were put on Nigeria's budget. They did not make a profit. So while those refineries were refining for Nigeria, they probably were getting crude for free. Crude oil was for free from Nigeria. That will not be the case any longer. So the cost of crude oil will be obviously factored into the cost of production. And also when they produced, these were largely again subsidized. Marketing and transportation logistics was not put on this product when they came from our refineries. So you could actually get a product for the same price in Kaduna as you will get in Kano, as you will get in Niger, as you will get in Isheyin, as you will get in Lokoja, as you will get in Ogun State. Simply because it was not business. Government was doing a social service. Once these refineries are working, they will charge and cost their cost of, or rather they will charge and factor their cost of production into the prices. So you may not even have a significant drop, maybe 70, 100 naira, 120 naira difference, because they will be buying, the same crude oil at the prices it is sold internationally. Maybe Nigerian government may now decide to also still subsidize the cost to them. But the problem of subsidy is simply because it is simply around the fact that subsidized oil does not even stay in Nigeria. A significant chunk is smuggled outside the shores of Nigeria into West Africa. So whatever these decisions that have been made around forex, around fiscal or monetary policy in terms of the exchange rate or the subsidy removal, there are opportunities around them. But some of those opportunities we will not see in the short term. Nigerians have to be patient. It will take some time before these opportunities start manifesting in ways that will touch your life and my life. The fourth area is what we call the digital economy and artificial intelligence. This government also plans to focus massively on creating wealth and employment opportunities in these two areas. I will speak to that very shortly. The fifth one is that it is obvious that Nigeria cannot move forward if the private sector and the business sector and entrepreneurial sector does not grow and thrive. So we foresee massive support from government in terms of entrepreneurship for our youths, for our MSMEs, medium, small, small scale enterprises, mini enterprises. There will be one program or the other that will come across these different sectors of our development and productive sectors. People will have to take advantage of them, and we will show you why people may not be able to take advantage of them. People are always skeptical. When they see government make announcements, they think these things will not happen. But I can assure you a lot of these things are going to happen for people who are looking forward to them. In 2021, we were privileged to support the Nigeria Export Promotion Council in the professional assessment and screening of Nigerian export companies that were going to be able to access a 50 billion naira grant. I can assure you millions of Nigerians from all parts of Nigeria who did not know anybody got grants from 2 million to 5 million to 10 million grants, not loans, to 15 million to different amounts of money based on their needs, verifiable needs. 50 billion naira export grant, COVID, post-COVID period. And so Nigerians will be telling you things don't happen. You need to know someone. No, nobody knew anybody. It was a transparent process. And it opened. People were given the opportunity to submit their applications. It closed. And people got this money in 2021. So these things are possible. So let's go who have them. These will be richly compensated in the next 4 years. Not just with the Nigerian government, with development partners, with a lot of investors who will be coming to Nigeria to try and take advantage of some other policies that will favor their ability to repatriate their monies and their profit home. The forex policy is one of them. Whilst organizations lost so much because of this forex, a lot of organizations had losses declared because of the forex trade. A lot more will come into Nigeria. Emirates left Nigeria in the last 2 years simply because their monies in Nigeria, they cannot repatriate back to United Arab Emirates. That goes also for a lot of the airlines. That money is going to $900 million because once we said we're going to give them that money at 460, an official rate, and we didn't have dollars to give them, the Nigerian government could not give them back their money when they sold to us in naira. That policy of removing the official rate to ensure that everybody can buy at an available and an affordable, no, don't let me use the word affordable, available market rate, has also meant that a lot of foreign investors are excited about coming to Nigeria because they are going to be able to probably get their monies back after they had done business in Nigeria. But let me speak about professionalism, competence, and skills. I like to start by saying a lot of Nigerians are unemployable, are unemployed, are underemployed, and a lot are not gainfully employed. There are differences between these different categories of employment and unemployment. People that are unemployable are available to work, but they don't have the required skill set or competencies required for work. People are underemployed. Some people they have skills, they have competencies. They may not have enough of it, but they are not even employed enough. What they do is not enough for what they can do. That's what underemployment means. Some people are unemployed. They are just unemployed. They can't find jobs, whether they have skills or competencies, or the requirement required for working. They just can't find jobs because we have not created enough. And some people are not gainfully employed. What that simply means is that people are working, but what they are earning is not commensurate with what they need to earn. That means they are not well remunerated. But largely, a lot of the challenges that we have with underemployment, unemployment, not gainfully being employed, and challenges of underemployment centers around the lack of skills, professional, technical, vocational, entrepreneurial skills. What am I saying? A lot of Nigerians are not skilled in a particular area. They are not professional in a particular area. Most Nigerians are not professionals in their field of work. So even when we are going to have emerging opportunities for jobs, for wealth creation, a lot of people may not be able to take advantage of it because we do not have enough skills and competencies. We are not professionals. To be a professional, you need to belong to a professional body organization that can certify your skills and your competencies. Competencies are knowledge, skills, and attributes. You have to have a skill, a vocational skill. If you're a chef, if you're a tomato seller, do you know all the types of tomatoes? Are you skilled in one area? If you sell pepper, do you know the differences between pepper from 6 or 7 states in the northern part of Nigeria? If you're a logistics person, how good are you at logistics? Are you a skilled logistics professional? If you're a mechanic, are you skilled in a particular model, or you are skilled in doing a certain mechanical activity within the car? Are you an engine person? The challenge with most Nigerians is that we do not have very evident, verifiable skill. We are not skilled enough. And so we will need to increase our skills level. A lot of us will need to improve on our professionalism if we are going to be able to take advantage of so many of these opportunities that may come. We may also need to improve our strong professional networking, whether through as professional associations, trade associations, or our presence for some of us who are working on LinkedIn. Some of us don't have a LinkedIn presence. We are on social media, but we're not on the ones that can help us with our careers. So in terms of competence and professionalism, we need to do more because there will be opportunities to be engaged, to earn even a lot more than we're earning with the emerging opportunities. The second area of opportunity I want to talk about is energy policy reforms. So in terms of the elimination of subsidies, it has opened doors for what we call renewable energy reforms or opportunities in Nigeria, from solar to compressed natural gas to liquefied petroleum gas, which is what we use for cooking. Opportunities are opening up. The Nigerian government even plans to roll out buses across Nigeria that will run on CNG. What we've heard is that with CNG, you probably won't pay even up to 200 naira per liter to fuel, your car. It's cheaper, it's cleaner. They say almost all the time that challenges, difficulties, the necessity of them is the mother of invention. When we go through challenges, they push us to become better, and that is what is happening. And we are going to see more of this. So there is going to be a very, very, very thriving market around renewable energy. We all can take part in this. Investment into it. People can become, a lot more people will get into the solar market business. And those are the areas that are open for us as individuals. CNG. In terms of skills that I spoke about first, our mechanics need to start to quickly learn how to retrofit cars or get cars fitted to work with CNG. The government is going to have a rollout in every state of the federation, have stations where CNG can be purchased. Innoson is already taking advantage of this. It has buses that are going to run on CNG already. We hope the Nigerian government also will patronize them. So we need to start to look at, ways in which we can take advantage of this policy that has made, fuel a little more costly than we can afford, to use more renewable energy sources. Our refrigerators, our freezers, our TVs, a lot can run more on solar energy. So we need to start to take advantage of this. For instance, a Norwegian renewable energy firm, Empower Now Energy, has collaborated with a company in Nigeria called PowerCell Clean Energy. And the agreement they signed is worth $6.5 million to provide solar energy to Lagos State. We need to start to understand that more of such investments will come into Nigeria, and we need to position ourselves either on the entrepreneurial side or as the user side, so that we can even reduce our cost. So we need to invest in renewables for personal use and for business. The third area of opportunity is what you call the opportunities in terms of investment that will come to Nigeria simply because the government has made decisions along the lines of our forex or monetary policy, particularly on the exchange rate, that will ensure that more investment, foreign investment, can come to Nigeria. And that will be for the benefit of Nigerians, because this investment will lead to the hiring of Nigerians, will create more jobs, will allow us have more inflows of forex that will also impact on the exchange rate of naira to other foreign exchange currencies. So if we don't have foreign investment, we don't also have enough dollars to give to our people who are importing, because we are an importing nation. And so a few naira will be chasing, a lot, yes, yeah. So a lot of naira will be chasing few dollars. That is why there's scarcity. That's why the exchange rate is such at the levels now that we are complaining, because we have a lot more naira chasing the dollars. Foreign investments needs to come into Nigeria. The only way we make we make money in foreign exchange is through the exports that we do. And our largest export, single export, is oil. 90% of our foreign exchange earnings in export comes from oil, not from non-oil. So these policies will impact on the attractiveness of Nigeria to foreign investment. Already, the African Development Bank has promised to invest $520 million in Nigeria's specialized agro-processing zones. So we need to export our skills and knowledge and services to improve our foreign earnings as individuals, even while we're in Nigeria. I do this from time to time. I collaborate with other professionals outside of Nigeria, in West Africa, and I get paid in forex. Some of these collaborations don't require me to leave Nigeria. I do trainings virtually for people in Gambia, and I get paid. So we all need to start to look at how are we going to make more money in terms of foreign exchange. Export is one of the areas we all need to look at. How can you export what you do? For you to be able to export, it has to be good enough. You also have to be registered with the Nigeria Export Promotion Council. Your company has to be registered. It's not a big process. I think 14,000 to register with them, but that company must have been registered with CAC as an export company. So there are opportunities in terms of this forex and fiscal and monetary policy, helping us to generate more foreign investment. And finally, on AI and digital economy, it will help drive employment for young Nigerians. These are areas of technology development, emerging technologies, generative AI. For instance, Airtel plans to invest $700 million annually over the next 3 years in Nigeria to roll out its 5G network. So if you're an engineer, these are very, very important information for you, that you can quickly start to develop yourself and make yourself available in terms of your skills and competencies to be a part of this rollout. They will need 5G engineers. You need to go and study what does it take. That 5G will bring in different other services that will require them to hire more people in Nigeria. When you know about this, because you have been, you have been informed through a session like this, you should start to look at how do you prepare yourself. Also, in terms of artificial intelligence, we are going to see a lot of this deployed more. just a few weeks ago, I think last month, we saw one of the banks in an exhibition use a robot. We are going to see more of this as we go into the days ahead. People are going to look at means and ways to run whatever they do at the lowest of cost, or with the lowest of operational cost, so as to be able to make more profit. And artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, IT security, these are things that people will need. We are all trying to get to become more digital with our financial services. We are using more of those online, digital services of the financial industry. It will also mean a need for more security, so as to prevent, uh, uh, what you call digital frauds and such that we see across the globe. So we need to also start to position ourselves. And that's why I started with competencies and skills, because everything that will happen in this country will require people who know how to do it. Nigeria also launched, before the last administration left, launched a $618 million digital and creative enterprises program in March 2023. So there is a lot going on in that space. As young people, rather than spend their time wasting it on social media, we need to invest it in finding out what is happening in the AI space. One of the people who have been nominated to become a minister in this current administration is one that has been known, I think Tijani Bosun has been known to work with tech ops. And that shows you the direction of this government, setting up tech ops, a British Nigerian or a Nigerian British man. And a lot more will happen in this space. So these are the 4 areas that I felt I wanted to talk about more extensively. That we should be looking out for. I hear a lot of Nigerians are skeptic. They are quite they are skeptics, and they are skeptical rather about whether these things will happen. And I understand why they are like that. Government have made promises in the past that never came to pass. But you see, there's a proverb in our language, in Yoruba, that says, you don't close your eyes because of bad people, because you won't know when the good people will pass. You don't throw the bathwater and the baby away. You don't stop believing because something did not work in the past. You stand to lose at the end of the day if it worked. So what do we lose? If we believe, if we look out for these things and they happen, we lose nothing. If they don't happen, we don't lose anything. But if they happen, we've lost something, and because we're not believing. So I'm encouraging us to also look out for them. Go find out, go research about them. Number one, for people who are working with the government, there's a new minimum wage coming. It's meant to be a living wage. The disposable income of the average Nigerian will increase. It will also impact on private sector people, because once government wages increase, the private sector will have to follow suit in cost of living adjustments. So generally across Nigeria, there will be minimum wage increase. It will have attendant impact on inflation and cost. But to start with, that is on the horizon. It's good news. We should thank God for that. And we can hold the government accountable for it. Secondly, there is a plan to disburse 125 billion naira for MSMEs, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. The plan, according to the president, that is 50 billion will be allocated to provide grants to 1 million small businesses by March 2024. This will go across the 774 local governments, and there is a plan that each person will get a minimum grant of 50,000 naira. A lot of business people, local, mini, nano businesses, are doing business with less than 10K. And the plan is to reach 1,300 nano businesses. So, like they say in Pidgin, at all, I ain't no good. What we should pray for and what we should ask for is that these things are well disbursed and there's accountability and it reaches these people. But again, that is going to impart some lives and turn them around. There's a plan to have a 9% interest for SMEs and startups, interest rates on loans in single digits, so that people can take loans and turn around their businesses. Additionally, there's a plan that 100,000 SMEs and startups will receive a support through a scheme with 75 billion naira being disbursed. Entrepreneurs can access loans ranging from 500,000 to 1 million at a maximum interest rate of 9% per annum that you can pay back in 36 months. When these things start to happen, I hear people say, yes, there are people they will give it to. Just look out for them. And that's always the case. Is there people? 50 billion naira was disbursed by Nigeria Export Promotion Council. And this was to all Nigerians. I can attest to the fact that professionals were used to assess and to recommend, and these disbursements were made. The government also plans to release 12,000 metric tons of grains from strategic reserves to share to households in 36 states. It won't get to everybody. We are 200 and something million people. So please don't let anybody also be deceived that everything will get to everybody. But it will get to some people. And if you are waiting and trusting God, things will get to you. So you have to believe. If you believe that you are like a grasshopper, you will be a grasshopper. If you believe you are unable to enter the land, you will not enter the land. If you believe this will not come to you, it's never come to you, it won't come to you. Because you won't even be positioned to receive it. You won't even be looking out for it. So please let us change our mentality. The government plans to spend 200 billion naira for farming to cultivate 500,000 hectares of farmland. They are going to buy this land. They are going to pay people to buy this land. They are going to use people on this land. This is job. So look out for this when they happen. This is also what we want the labor unions to follow up with government on, to hold government accountable, to have programs followed, in terms of monitoring and evaluation. Let the unions ensure that they can report back to Nigerians, this is happening. These are how many people have been hired. The money has been disbursed. This will benefit large and small scale farmers across Nigeria. 200 billion. Imagine, pushing that into the farming ecosystem. That will touch some people. If it's 15, 20, 30, 40 billion that touches Nigerians, it is going to make a difference. Also, there's 100 billion naira that's been planned to be rolled out into the purchase of 3,000 units of 20-seater CNG buses. These buses are not going to use fuel, so they are going to be easier to manage and maintain. And they will be distributed, across the states based on the volumes of passengers and intensity of use. This will be in partnership with private companies. So if you are a transporter, if you are NURTW, if you are running, private transport business, this is the time to also take advantage of this. Don't say no, they are going to share it with their people, because that's where we lose out on everything. And then there is also the student loan. The government has promised that the savings is making, which is not actual savings in terms of money saved in any treasury from oil subsidy, will be plowed into student loans. Please, it's time to go to school. You want to do masters, go take a loan. You want to do a PhD, this is the time to take advantage of it. Stop saying it's their children. Stop saying it's their members. Stop saying it's their politicians, the families of the politicians. They can't all take advantage of these by themselves. So these are the few opportunities that I guess we can harness from the speech of the president. We need to become believers and positive. It's those that are looking out for good that will find good. So I encourage us to look at all of them, and I want us to quickly go through them for the break in transmission. So what are we talking about in terms of the challenges we are going to face going forward? Number one, prices of goods and services will significantly rise up. We have seen this already because of some of the policy decisions of government. This is already happening. Also, more Nigerians will pay taxes. New tax regimes may be introduced, and they will affect everybody, whether the poor and whether we're poor or we're rich. Some may go up, and the likelihood of the VAT increasing is also very high because our VAT of 7.5% is the lowest in Africa. So we are going to experience this as also part of our journey in the next 4 years. In terms of inflation and cost of living, this will also go up. The cost of business also will go up, understandably so, because cost of fuel, cost of product, cost of services will also go up. These are some of the challenges and the brunt of the change that we may have to bear. We have to bear it. It's not easy, but if we could survive the lockdown, we could survive the cash crunch during the Naira change, God will also take us through this period and help us to survive. It's also going to be important that we get skills and competencies, because if we do not, it will be severely penalized. We will not be able to take advantage of the opportunities that will emerge in the next 4 years and the years ahead. Finally, if you don't have a connection to the formal economic or financial system, you will also not be able to take advantage of it. You need to have good bank accounts, not just savings account. A lot of Nigerians are not, engaged on the formal financial system. A lot of Nigerians don't even have bank account. We just go to a microfinance bank. But even if you have a microfinance bank, that's the place to start. You must have a proper bank account, because there will also be a lot of credit facilities that will be made available. Government wants to send money to you. How do they get it to you? So we all need to get into the financial system in better ways to be able to access the opportunities that will be available. So finally, what are the things we need to do? My final words. We need to leverage what you call the moonlighting and gig economy. What is moonlighting? You must have more than one thing that you are doing. That is what is called moonlighting. People, after their day job, still have something else they do. Because except you work for few companies in this world, it's probably not enough that your earnings from one job will be enough to take care of your family. And most of us are skilled. We have also other potentials to make, earnings and income. Because one of the things we must be able to do, or should be able to do, or should try and do, is to increase our income, our disposable income. As the cost rises, we also need to improve our disposable income. So look for opportunities for what you can do again, apart from, your single or main income. Most people have one income, then they have multiple expenditure. There is no balance. The richest people in the world, from Nigeria, Dangote has more than one company. He doesn't sit on a company. It's Dangote Industries. He's a conglomerate. Elon Musk, he owns Twitter. He owns Tesla. He owns different other organizations. The richest people, even so many of these organizations we work for, the banks, that's why they went to a holding company, because nobody sits on one business. Only poor people do. Let's find things we can do. Weekends, dead time that we have. We must increase our disposable household income and wealth. Number two, you need to improve, professionalize, and globally certify your skills. You need to improve your skills. If you are going to, aspire to get better things to do that will give you better income. And you need to globalize it, professionalize it. If you are not a professional in any area, become a professional in your area. The biggest room in life is the room for improvement. we need to improve our skills, our competencies, and our professional network. Number 3, we need to build strong and profitable, network for better opportunities. You need network. Everything in life is about your network. Your net worth is your network. We need better network. We need better network. And finally, you need to stay positive and informed. A lot of us are disconnected from current affairs, from contemporary happenings. We need to be more informed. Listen at least to channel news once every day. 10 o'clock is enough. Listen to the radio in the morning. What is happening in the papers? Don't tell people it doesn't concern me. What are we going to hear? It's all bunch of lies. You will lose out if you are not informed. People that are not informed will be misinformed, and they will become deformed eventually. If we want to go forward in the next 4 years as a people, we need to improve on our information reception, on sourcing it from accurate places, not just rumors. Some people like hearsays, what have they said? No, that's not what we're saying. Listen to it. Take your time to listen to news. 1 hour in the morning, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. Find out what has happened during the day. And for younger people, look for, there will be opportunities, but they will only come to people who are looking forward to getting them. Thank you very much for your time.